that strengthen it more are the commitment of gender equality with the principle of governance. I also like to salute the Brazilian parliamentary in the person of Deputy Jaque Rocha that coordinates the feminine caucus here in the Chamber of Deputy, the Senator Leila Barros, and also Deputy Célia Chacriabá that represents important indigenous peoples in this space. It is needed to advance each and every time more. Gender inequality was not a sectoral theme, and it's not only to be set in a small box, it is structural. It organizes the power organization in society and surpasses all the dimensions, the political dimensions of the global economies. The challenge of ecological transition cannot repeat the symmetries in the past divided in a sexual division of work, concentration of economical power and technological. It's a just transition that must be oriented by the protection of rights, by the generation of jobs, and also by the real inclusion of women, youth, indigenous peoples, traditional communities, and ethnic groups of several spaces. The gender justice is conditioned to any pact of sustainability that aims to be less long. It is also the bridge between the economic development and redistribution of power, time, and resources. In this context, it is utmost important to reaffirm the power and the center of the economies, the social biodiversity, especially in the region that are historically vulnerable with the logic of extractivism. Strengthen the territories is not only to decentralize the decisions, it is also to recognize within them the pulsing center of this sustainable and just solutions. It is in the territories where we live, where we build the economical practices that may in fact transform the care and the food sovereignty. The sovereignty of the people must be comprehended in a strategic pillar to any development project that intend to be plural, democratic, and deepen in the global South. The Brazilian presidency of BRICS, that we say that in the Brazilian Congress, our support to the incorporation of ODS 18, equally ethnical and racial as a main component for the global agenda. We believe that there is no sustainability without racial justice. Recognize the structural disadvantages, its condition for developed public policies, national and multilateral, and also that is sensitive to the real intersection of gender, race, class, and territory. Through 2025, Brazil has conducted the presidency of the BRICS, guided by the motto, strengthening the Global South cooperation for a more inclusive and sustainable governance. This agenda materializes in 5 main axes. 1. Facilitating commerce and investment with development of proper means of payment. 2. Promoting a responsible governance of artificial intelligence with focus on digital sovereignty and digital inclusion. 3. Broadening the financing, climate financing, in partnership with COP30 that Brazil will also be hosting this year. 4. Stimulus to the cooperation South-South with public health based in solidarity and universal access. 5. Strengthening the BRICS with more than 100 meetings already realized, preparing the block for the summit of Chief of States in July in Rio de Janeiro. We trust in Brazilian administration and BRICS. We're going to work actively to guarantee that the countries of the blocs are represented with cohesion, clarity, and ambition. Not only in the official spaces of the conference of the UN about climate change that is going to take place in Belém do Pará, but also a dialogue with the civil society during the Summit of People that's going to happen together with the COP30. We also want a COP with the people with active participation of the social movements under the leadership of youth, women, traditional communities, productive sectors committed to the new economic agenda, socially referenced and just. I'm convicted that the strengthening of BRICS surpasses by the institutionalization of democratic, by the popular legitimacy and the constant dialogue between the powers among the countries and with its societies. We also believe that the world doesn't need more promises and firm commitments and transforming commitments. BRICS has a school, has legitimacy, has responsibility, and also has a collective courage to assure the transition that be profound, inclusive, and just. My name is Dandara. I'm Federal Deputy, permanent member of the Education Committee of Câmara, and also presided the Commission of Originary People. I'm going to preside this session. Before handing the floor to the panelists, some clarifying. Each panelist may use the word for up to 5 minutes to ensure the commitment of our agenda and also the equality of the representatives. The audio system of this meeting room is programmed to ring a bell 30 seconds before the end of the speech, as an alert to come to a conclusion of your speech, when the microphones will be turned off. I also request that all the speech take in a very calm and slow way, in order to the simultaneous translation can reflect the speech with maximum precision. And before handing the floor to the first panelist, I reinforce the invitation for those who want to be part of the panel, women as and beneficiary of financing. The inscriptions are still open and it can be made straight with civil servant Thaisa. Where is Thaisa? Right here on the side, on my left-hand side. I thank the comprehension and the cooperation of all the necessary rules for a good of this session. Now I hand the floor for 5 minutes to Ma'am Inia Svyatenko, Vice Representative of the High Chamber of Russia, Republic of Russia.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Brazil as a host country for holding this meeting of BRICS women MPs. I would like to ask you to accept the best wishes on behalf of Valentina Matvienko, the Speaker of the Russian Chamber of the Russian Parliament. Women have come to play an increasingly important role in international politics over the past decades. Parliaments are the pillars of democracy. In this capacity, they have a primary responsibility for ensuring equality and empowering women. Under the Russian Constitution, men and women enjoy equal rights, freedoms, as well as equal opportunities for enjoying them. There is a trend in Russia for empowering women in government institutions at all levels. For example, women account for 18% of MPs in both chambers of Russian Parliament. Having more women in politics and in government institutions enables us to focus on improving the quality of life of our people. Many countries have been setting quotas for women's participation as a tool for promoting gender equality in parliament, but this is not the path Russia has chosen. The state has been creating favorable conditions to enable women to fulfill their political, creative, and business potential. We seek to empower women in politics by making them more competitive. Russia has adopted a national strategy of action in the interests of women. This document sets forth a wide range of measures to support women, including by enabling them to play a bigger role in government affairs. Every 3 years, Russia hosts within the Federation Council the Eurasian Women's Forum and brings together female leaders from across the world. We promote major international projects to promote female entrepreneurship, and we discuss joint measures to fight climate change and promote cultural cooperation. There are all kinds of various women's associations that were created by the Eurasian Women's Forum, including the BRICS Women's Business Alliance and the Eurasian Association of Female Regional Leaders. In 2024, we held the first BRICS Women's Forum at the Eurasian Women's Forum. Its participants spoke out in favor of building an international community of female leaders in social matters and healthcare, establishing a working group on food security, an international group for studying the role of women in BRICS countries, as well as proposals to create a system for certifying medicines in BRICS countries. We are grateful to Brazil for sending its delegation to the Eurasian Women's Forum. We had co-chair of the Female 20, Janine and Alaska Gama, and professor of the Federal University, Fabiana Melnichuk, who represented Brazil at this forum. We had the second forum of BRICS Women Entrepreneurs in 2025 in May. There were over 1,500 delegates from 50 countries. Just like in Brazil, Russia is preparing the International Municipal Forum. It will take place in November 2025 in St. Petersburg. This is an important dialogue platform for the capitals of the participating countries so that major cities can share their best practices. This year we will discuss parliamentary diplomacy in the time of global change. I invite women MPs to take part in this International BRICS Municipal Forum. By the way, the co-chair of the BRICS International Municipal Forum is Devanir Kavalkant, a prominent expert in municipal governance and international relations. Russia stands ready to share its experience and to learn from the experience of our foreign colleagues. Looking forward to seeing you in St. Petersburg. Thank you for your attention.
Agradeço a fala da nossa vice-presidente da Câmara Alta da Rússia.
Thank you, the High Chamber of Russia. And now I invite for 5 minutes Ms. Shabari Byreddi, member of the Low Chamber of India Parliament.
Honorable Chairperson, distinguished delegates and esteemed colleagues. It is an honor to be a part of this esteemed gathering and to speak on a very important topic, that is building the future women parliamentarians and the BRICS 2025 agenda. Let me begin my speech by quoting a saying that is what we Indians believe in. That is, when women are honored, divinity blossoms, and when they are dishonored, whatever may be, how noble the cause may be, it is never fruitful. So we, as representatives of vibrant democracies and dynamic economies, the BRICS nations stand at a pivotal juncture with an opportunity to shape a more equitable, prosperous and sustainable future. We women, particularly women parliamentarians, are the architects and drivers transforming our future. India, under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, it is no more a women development, or we no more talk about women development, but we speak about women-led development. We believe that empowering women is not merely a matter of social justice, but a need for national and also global progress. Our commitment to gender equality is deeply embedded in the ethos of our Constitution, which guarantees rights, equal rights and opportunities for our citizens. And distinguished delegates, India has a robust framework for women participation in governance. The 73rd constitutional amendment mandated 1/3 reservation for the women in the local self-governments, and we are about 1.45 million women representatives, that is 46% total, who are actively shaping grassroots democracy. And not just beside robust legal framework, we also have institutional mechanism to enforce it. For example, we have standing committee for empowerment of women, which is entirely led by women MPs. And also a landmark achievement in this journey is the historic Constitutional Act 2023, popularly known as Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam. Here, we have 1/3 reservation in the Parliament lower house Lok Sabha and also state legislative assemblies. So we women in India not only shape the grassroots democracy, but also the policy makers. Few important schemes that we have bought in are the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, where about 520 million people are bought into formal banking system, out of which 70% are women. And this fostering economic independence. And also we have provided collateral-free loans to small entrepreneurs by Mudra Yojana, and 300 million women are benefited, and women of our country are no more job seekers but job creators. And also 100 million clean cooking fuel connections have been given to women for free for the economically weaker section under Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, which also helped in improving health and also reducing the drudgery. Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandan Yojana also provides maternity benefits, supporting the health and well-being of mothers and newborn. And our flagship program, that is Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, it has given improvement in the sex ratio of female child and also highest enrollment of female girls, that remarkable increase of 28%. And from Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana nearly has given 30 million houses which have been sanctioned and registered under the name of women. So this has ensured financial security and also decision-making power within the households. Distinguished colleagues, we have a unique and a very powerful role in shaping the BRICS 2025 agenda, and our collective experiences, insights, and leadership are also crucial for mainstreaming the economic growth, strengthening the social development, fostering peace and security. And it is not just talking about women leadership, but we also need to talk about the multiple challenges faced by women every day, since they are deeply interconnected with nature. Some such examples are the domestic violence, poverty, food and income security to education, health, and numerous social and cultural discriminations. And we, as the women parliamentarians of BRICS, pledge to be the vanguards of this change, building a future where every woman and girl can realize and unlock her full potential, contributing on prosperity to our nations and the world. Thank you.
Obrigada pela contribuição, Shabari. Passo agora a palavra por 5 minutos para a senhora Nora Ali, membro da Câmara Baixa do Parlamento do Egito.
Dear attendees, allow me at the outset to express my deep appreciation for the efforts of BRICS aimed at promoting frameworks for cooperation among our countries at the parliamentary level to meet the aspirations of our peoples for a better tomorrow. I would also like to commend the forum's recognition that gender equality, achieving equal opportunities and empowering women in addition to being a fundamental human right, are essential for achieving stability and unleashing the full potential of society to confront this world saturated with successive crises at all levels. Although women, who make up nearly half of the world's population, have made undeniable gains and have entered various fields of life, they still strive in some communities of our contemporary world to obtain their basic rights that enable them to manage their lives and confront the setbacks in achieving equality and reaching just, inclusive, and sustainable societies for all. Structural discrimination, stereotypes, and gender-based violence create serious obstacles to women's participation in all areas of life, particularly in legislation. To date, the percentage of women members of parliaments worldwide stands at only by 27.2%. Distinguished attendees, we are all certain that empowering women and supporting their future is a fundamental pillar for achieving sustainable development and an important focus on the cooperation agenda among BRICS countries, which forms a vital platform to unify efforts towards enhancing the role of women in the economy and society in the Global South through strategic initiatives and innovative projects that reflect the member states' commitment to achieving gender equality. It is of utmost importance to highlight here the key measures taken by the BRICS group to empower women and support their future, such as Jaipur Declaration issued in 2016, in which BRICS parliamentarians expressed their commitment to intensifying mutual cooperation and enhancing partnership in the dimensions of sustainable development, economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection. Additionally, the BRICS Women's Business Alliance, established in 2020, focused on promoting women's entrepreneurship and increasing women's participation in the economies of BRICS countries. It includes a group of prominent female figures in the business field. I would like to specifically commend the Women's Entrepreneurship Forum and its main themes related to developing regional cooperation between BRICS and Latin American countries, the Middle East, the Asia-Pacific region, Africa, and the Commonwealth of Independent States to create a free environment for women entrepreneurship, exchange of experiences and technology, development of special economic zones, and support for creative industries and projects in the fields of energy, sustainable development, and health care. I also commend the Women's Startup Competition for BRICS countries as a key mechanism to encourage companies to motivate women to participate in entrepreneurial activities and highlight innovative and high-impact startups led by women, which enhances economic integration and global cooperation, including innovative projects for automating processes in the energy sector and infrastructure facilities, artificial intelligence technologies in medicine, education, agriculture, and the production and operation of aviation equipment and robotics, as well as cancer and infertility treatment methods, among others. Let us seize the opportunity provided by our meeting today to reaffirm the BRICS Forum's commitment through its alliances initiatives to building an inclusive and equitable future for women, which reflects a genuine international commitment to empowering women and enhancing their participation in various economic and social sectors to build more balanced and prosperous communities. This cannot be achieved without parliamentary approval of relevant legislation and monitoring its implementation. Thus, parliamentarians in BRICS countries can play an active role in empowering women as follows: guiding governments to implement gender-responsive public policies in various fields that ensure the respect and enforcement of women's rights as stated in relevant regional and international labor agreements. Taking regulatory measures to ensure the enhancement of the role of financing institutions in the economic empowerment of women as a fundamental step towards achieving their independence, particularly in financing small and micro projects. Thank you for listening and for your kind attention.
Agradeço a sua contribuição. Concedo a palavra por 5 minutos a Maryam Abdollahi, membro do Parlamento do Irã.
I hand the floor for Member of Parliament of Iran.
In the name of God, Excellencies, in the name of God, Excellencies, dear MPs, it is an honor for me to participate among the high-ranking MPs of the BRICS member states and speak as a legislator and talk about an issue which is not only rooted in justice and equality, but also it has a crucial role in sustainable development judgment and collective foresight. In a world that we are seeing witnessing rapidly accelerating and complex geopolitical, economic, and technological and social transformation, and where the BRICS initiative has evolved from a mere economic alliance into a platform for multidimensional, future-oriented cooperation, a fundamental question arises. Can these profound and swift changes lead to balance, justice, sustainable success without the genuine and effective participation of half of the world's population, that is, women? Women representatives, drawing upon lived experience, a human-centered approach, and a commitment to human dignity and social justice, can act as key agents in shaping a future that is inclusive, peaceful, and resilient for the BRICS family. Women are not only carriers of new approaches and perspectives, but also serve as bridges connecting gender justice with macroeconomic, social, and environmental policymaking. If the BRICS 2025 agenda is to move toward inclusive, balanced, just, and resilient development, it is essential that women's voices be heard at all policy-making levels, and that their presence within decision-making structures be institutionalized and impactful. The BRICS 2025 agenda, which focuses on strengthening multilateralism, reforming the unfair structures of the international financial system, expanding intra-group trade, addressing climate challenges, and pursuing sustainable and equitable development, is a roadmap toward a future where human dignity and gender justice are deeply interwoven. Women legislators, by interpreting a human-centered and gender justice perspective into high-level policymaking, can reveal often overlooked dimensions of human development. Although positive steps have been taken in BRICS countries to enhance women's political participation, the key challenge before us is to move beyond quantitative participation toward qualitative, impactful, and institutionalized engagement. The presence of women brings ethical, future-focused, and people-centered thinking into the policy-making process. If BRICS intends to offer a more humane, participatory, and balanced alternative to the current unjust and unethical global order, then women must be placed at the core of this transformation, at the center of the design, decision-making, and implementation processes, not at the margins. We, women legislators, relying on our knowledge, commitment, experience, and sense of responsibility, stand ready alongside our male colleagues to build a just, resilient, and inclusive future. The future in which no human being, regardless of gender, ethnicity, socioeconomic background, is left behind on the path of progress and development. In a world grappling with simultaneous crises, from climate to economy to war and inequality, women, through empathetic vision, ethical decision-making, and a participatory approach, can reinforce the pillars of peace, sustainability, and human development. Let us ensure that the BRICS 2025 agenda is seen not just as a strategic document, but as an opportunity to redefine the role of women in shaping the global future. My colleagues and I, as women representatives in legislative bodies, with firm resolve, a spirit of collaboration, and belief in collective empowerment, are ready to take meaningful steps. Thank you for your cooperation.
Now we hand the floor to Ms. Zandile Majozi, member of the Low Chamber of the Parliament of South Africa.
Is it fine? Okay. I thank you most sincerely for the opportunity given to participate and share experiences in the journey of building the future of women, but also to build concrete bridges of cooperation among our countries. We believe that the exchange of best practices and the establishment of strategic partnerships can accelerate progress towards gender equality in all dimensions. During the proceedings of Women's Ministers' meeting held in Brasilia, it was underscored that amid the cultural diversity of what it means to, open quote, be a woman, close quote, across the bloc's civilization, one common ground emerged was certainly the importance of active female participation for a qualitative change in today's complex international landscape. The promotion of initiatives and investment aimed at ensuring women's equal participation in economic and social development, as well as the equitable sharing of the benefits of that development, was the focus of the first session. We further note that the second forum of BRICS Women's Parliamentarians held in 2025 was aimed at increasing the visibility of women in politics and formulation of public policies, strengthening the gender perspective in BRICS deliberation and reinforcing its democratic legitimacy. Achieving the goals of equal participation of women and men in decision-making will provide a balance that more accurately reflects the composition of society and is needed in order to strengthen democracy and to promote its proper functioning. It is not enough to publicly pledge our solidarity and support for women. We must clear all existing challenges to women development in order to ensure their ascendance to leadership position that they also deserve. Women must be leaders and architects of their own development needs. Equally, in political decision-making performs a leverage function. Without each, it is highly unlikely that the real integration of equality dimension in government policy-making is feasible. In this respect, women equal participation in political life plays a vital role in the general process of the advancement of women. Women's equal participation in decision-making is not only a demand for simple just or democracy, but can also be seen as a necessary condition for women's interest to be taken into account. Without the active participation of women and the incorporation of women perspective at all levels of decision-making, the goals of equality, development, and peace cannot be achieved. The struggle of gender equality and women-led development should be regarded as a societal struggle. The continuous oppression of women who constitute a majority in our societies is shame and a reflection of a sick society. It is calamity which should be equally addressed by both men and women. Women don't need favors from men, but they need a leveled and unbiased playing field where skills and capacity would be a determining factor for progress and advancement instead of gender. Inequality between women and men remains a challenge which affects women's empowerment participation in all spheres of life. This inequality is particularly visible in power and decision-making arenas, which continues to be more dominated by men. In most societies around the world, women hold only a minority of decision-making position in public and private institutions. Advances over the past 2 decades are evident in all regions and in most countries, but progress has been slow. Barriers remain despite growing acknowledgement that democracy and development can only benefit gender balance in decision-making processes and bodies. Gender equality is a right. Fulfilling this right is the best chance we have meeting some of the most pressing challenges of our time, from economic crisis and a lack of health care, of climate change, violence against women, and accelerating conflicts. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and its 17 Sustainable Development Goals adopted by world leaders in 2015 embody a roadmap for progress that is sustainable and leaves no one behind. Ladies and gentlemen, gender mainstreaming is a process of ensuring that programs and projects in all institutions reflect the important priorities of achieving equal opportunity for all people and acknowledge the existence of gender equality. It is deliberate effort to reverse the level of inequality through allocation of resources and policies in order to provide greater benefits for the disadvantaged efforts. Efforts to advance a country's growth and development should be produced within the contribution of all citizens. It is then pertinent to focus on the gender factors that trigger an increase in and stimulate economic growth in both low and high income countries and result in inclusive economic growth. Thank you very much.
Agradeço a contribuição e concedo a palavra por 5 minutos a Ana Maria Mari Machado, vice-presidente do Parlamento de Cuba.
I would like to give the word to Ana. Muito boa tarde, é um prazer dar um saludo a todos vocês desde a República de Cuba, nessa sessão do Fórum Parlamentário, especificamente fazer isso pela primeira vez, porque Cuba foi considerada um país sócio dos BRICS.
A cada uno de los miembros por la confianza depositada en la inclusión de Cuba, lo cual tiene para nosotros un especial significado. El diálogo parlamentario en el marco de los BRICS es cada vez más importante como portavoces de los intereses de nuestros pueblos y como representantes de la voluntad política.
Representatives of the we are acknowledge of our needs and necessities of thousands of people in the world, especially women voices. In Cuba, we can express, since our experience, that the women's problems was to prioritize the program of the Cuban Revolution and the strategy of development, national strategy for development, as an objective of all society, and we recognize the potential transformative of women. It was a challenge that implemented our leader, Fidel Castro. One of the main questions was the way that we achieved and approached the women's role in our society. The objectives of the Cuban women were addressed since the beginning, and nowadays we can express that we have fulfilled our commitment of women according to the sustainable development and empowerment of women, as we have adopted in our 4th Universal UN Conference of Development. It's important to highlight that that's being able because of the political will and the exercise of public policies has been followed up with the legal justice since 1966 and the 1985 Family Code. Those laws endorsed equal rights for women and the elimination of any manifestation of discrimination. These laws and others supported widespread, free and non-discriminatory access to education and health services, respect for women's sexual and reproductive rights, their access to family planning service and paid maternity leave, equal pay for work and equal value, and the condemnation of punishment of any acts of discrimination and gender-based violence within families, the recognition of equal duties and rights for women and men regarding domestic responsibilities, and education for their daughters and sons. These were further updated in 2019, the Constitution of the Momentos, the Family Code, and also the 4th Conference on Women, updated by Presidential Decree in 2021, the National Program for Advancement of Women. This plan is conceived as the state agenda, which integrates actions and measures that correspond to the principles recognized in our Constitution within the new context of the updated Cuban economic and social model, as well as the international commitments made regarding gender equality, as well as with the international models for gender equality. We also have a council for public policies. We've been working for the gender equality and the presence of Cuban women are 51% of the female deputy. We have more than 50% in presence in key departments. We understand that we can contribute with the dialogue spaces and create a better world in favor of the peace and leadership and raise female voices as an expression of the families that we share inside the society. And please, you can count in our contribution here in BRICS. Thank you so much for the Brazilian presidency and for the open space to our speech and for all of you present in the room. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the contribution. I concede the floor. Coronel Fernanda, member of the Chamber of Deputies of Brazil. Esteemed colleagues and members, parliamentarians from the countries of BRICS, it is an honor to be here in this meeting representing Brazil as a procurement for the Federal Chamber. I'm a Deputy Federal elected by Mato Grosso, state of the central region of place. In this session, that allows us to talk about several important themes of the BRICS agenda. I'd like to talk with my noble colleagues on women's health and perspective of building a global governance fair and sustainable. I consider that it's urgent to discuss women's health as a fundamental pillar for the development of equity of our nations. In the past week, celebrated the International Day for the fight for the women's health, created more than 4 decades ago with the objective of giving visibility to the challenges faced by women regarding health and amplify the awareness of the preventive action turned to the diseases that affect us most. Doing this highlight among women and health, it's fundamental to highlight how much the poverty enhances the vulnerability of health, specifically in the women's population. Social factors as food insecurity, non-paid work, domestic violence, precarious access to water, that has direct consequences in the health, mental and physical health. Studies indicate that women in vulnerability have more mental diseases imposed by economic inequality. In Brazil, since the Constitution of 1988, the right to health is universal. Access through the SUS, unique system of health. During the assembly, the parliamentary colleagues that constructed in the main letter of our country, they concerned and making a special attention with women's health, considering their specificities. In the past few decades, the Women's Caucus in the National Congress has been acting firmly to broaden the coverture of damage and diseases that happens more with women. Regarding physiological and psychological impacts of the violence against women, today legislation guarantees the public network offers priority for victims of violence and the protocols that they measure and because of the violence and even the amount of women that were any kind of disability, permanent disability because of this violence, which allows us to the state to develop public policies more specifics. Although we have several challenges to overcome, Brazil is a country with continental dimensions marked by regional inequalities and racial inequalities. Data from the Ministry of Health, more than 60% of mothers' death could be avoided with precautionary and humanitarian assistance in the birth. The same data indicates that black and poor women have 2 times less access to this previous. And also, I say that several women may not do one single before birth. The maternal mortality is a sensitive indicator of Brazilian inequality. According to PAHO, in 2023, 700 women died per day in the world due to complications of the birth, totalizing 260,000 obits in the world per year. 95% of these deaths happen in the countries of low and medium income, usually in rural areas and poor communities. These data reveal that there are preventive solutions, but access to quality healthcare is limited to poor women. It's urgent to revert this data. So we have to prioritize the universal prenatal care, safe birth, and BRICS today has almost half of the world population. We have the opportunity to lead a new paradigm about the health of the women. For the countries in development may in fact be sovereign nations. But in order to do this, we have to articulate technical cooperations among member countries to share technologies and replicate good practices for the women's health as funds for program for prenatal care, partnership and research, the exchanging of technology of low cost, and we also need face the violence against girls and women with consequences that are physical and psychological, and makes us far from our developments of sustainable development in the UN. The human health is not an individual right. It's a commitment. It's a collective commitment that us, parliamentary representatives of the people, have to have a social justice with equity and human dignity. The global sustainability that only be achievable when women have full right to health and participation of equal in the spaces of power. That this debate inspires our parliament to transform words into concrete actions, that we can today begin this collective commitment with women's health with the member countries of BRICS, guaranteeing a future that no woman may die of negligence, injustice, or prejudice. Count with us. Thank you very much. Thank you, Deputy. Now I hand the floor to Professor Dorinha, member of Federal Senate of Brazil.
Ladies and gentlemen, to prepare myself to this event, I reviewed the Declaration of Kazan from the last on BRICS, which occurred on October from last year. The 114 paragraph, only 6 mentioned the woman, 4 of them were in the form of genetic, and only 2 of them talked about the theme. On the genetic, they include the woman's decision in government, national government, and each bilateral institution, recognizing the capacity of women that participated in natural. On the paragraph specific 130 and 131, the question of empowering women, it's point out the economic, the necessary of promote the capacity of technology by financially. As a professional, and
I want to draw attention to an essential aspect of women's empowerment: access to education. A significant portion of the restrictions on expanding women's capacity to play relevant roles in society stems from unequal access to education. In some countries, these are, in principle, cultural restrictions, but they are frequently materialized by formal prohibitions on female access to certain levels of education or specific careers. We shouldn't judge women who choose to exercise traditional roles in their societal origin. However, we must discuss imposed roles, that is, roles assumed due to a lack of options. As legislators, we have a duty to promote this access. In Brazil, we have more women than men with completed higher education. However, we are still a minority in fields like exact science and technology, which reduces our presence in spaces considered less feminine.
Promoting equality is not just about educating girls. It's also about teaching boys from an early age the value of gender equality. Only then can we permanently transform partial structures that still persist in our society. This approach view educational from the ground up, I believe, greatly facilitates the discussion in the environment of public administration and high-level business about the need for female representation. Again, addressing the Brazilian case, we have for some time had a quote for women candidates by political party in each proportional election, at least 30% according to the legislation. At the moment, the women's causes of the Brazilian Congress is a fight to prevent this quote from being simply eliminated, as some intend, at the moment of the revision of electoralization occurring under the country. Most have less than 30% female presence, both in parliament and in ministries. It's urgent to train more women for public office and to normalize among men and women the female presence in the leadership positions. I also want to highlight the importance of the decentralization cooperation as a strategy to expand women's political participation. The exchange of experience between the local governments of BRICS countries can generate more effective, inclusive solutions that adapt to the reality of each territory. It is up to us to guarantee politics to promote education, inclusion, and real opportunities for women. Women empowerment will not come merely through declaration, but through concrete actions, cultural change, and political commitment. I live here. My faith, liberal capacity education is the foundation for more, and the future will thank you with more representation of the women, for the legislative and the woman in the space of decisions, the reduction of politics, the reductions of women attack, and above all, condition of liberals, and of course, or more participation. I participate in BRICS in Jaipur with sadness. I come to the conclusion, during all this period of BRICS, we were ignored in most of our country, and the compromise of the publics from the BRICS. It's our role to change this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Before ending the session, I'd like to inform there's going to have a 10-minute break before the ending the final session. That's going to be predicted by Deputy Jacques Rocha, that coordinates the Feminine Caucus here in the Chamber of Deputies. During this break, there's going to have a coffee break here in the room about the side. Our teams will help to conduct the delegations. We kindly ask that the radio for simultaneous translation will be left on the table by the end of the event. I thank all of you that honored with your presence.